I clicked the live button and then I didn't even have an intro written down what to say, but we had some really nice wrestling and a debut of a new team on Dynamite. We also have what looks like to be the next women's title challenger. Interesting choice. Plus, we have the in-ring return of Pac. We have a swerve when it comes to Team Taz, though it was kind of hanging out there for a bit. So lots of stuff actually happened on this episode, as well as Jon Moxley completely burying the lead that Renee is pregnant.
Congratulations to those two. Yeah, I watched the show on a little bit of a delay, and I saw on Twitter, I'm like, okay, what happened? And then I saw the promo, I'm like, was that the announcement?
Yeah, that was like the first thing, and then it was then like the second that happened, Renee posted on Instagram just the two of them being happy about it. So I guess that was technically the official announcement to the world. So that's kind of a funny way to do it, but hey, way to go.
You know what? They seem like wonderful people, and they seem very in love. And I love Renee's reaction to John doing crazy hardcore shit. My favorite was after the Ishii match in last year's G1 when he just goes, "I'll shoot her. My wife's gonna kill me. She hates tables and shit."
Yeah, and then after the match with Kingston, or during the match with Kingston, it was an I Quit match. She said, "Can I quit this match?" And then she said, "Come on, dude, thumbtacks in the head." And then she's like, "I'm gonna go bulk order Epsom salt and and first aid kits."
Yeah, but this was a very fun episode of Dynamite, and not to bury the lead, but the thing that I'm most happy about, because we talked about it. We talked about it when we did our roundtable on year one of Dynamite. The return, the reconstitution of Death Triangle. I am so happy about this.
Yeah, that was a big thing coming out of here, and they decided, yeah, we're not even going to drag this out. We're going to go straight to it, draw a line in the sand right away after 3 weeks, and we know kind of where we're going, and it looks like we're heading to a Pac Eddie Kingston feud with some players underneath them to kind of play in the background a little bit as well. I'm curious if Death Triangle is going to come out of the other end here as a face team.
I mean, how can they not, right? It's Pac and the Lucha Brothers, and their name is Death Triangle. That's like 4 huge marks for them right there. I'm happy that Pac is back, and I am happy that Eddie Kingston is continuing to be in a featured position on AEW, because he's earned it. He's been the best promo guy in the business this year, and I'm glad that he's still around and still doing stuff, and I'm glad that we have this program.
All right, so let's set this up here. Welcome, everybody, to That's Wrestling. Thanks for tuning in this evening. We're going a little late today, but if you had subscribed to the YouTube channel, you would know I pushed the time. So there's always that. If you're listening to this as a podcast, head over to the YouTube channel, because we do this show live. We do pretty much all of our shows live. So if you go over there, it will let you know as soon as we schedule a live stream. So that's always good to know. Plus, there's a Discord in the description, so you can come hang out with us there. Also, if you are on any of your podcast apps, please leave a review of the show. It really helps out with the search results. Plus, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. We also have Twitter, though it isn't used a ton, but you can come hang out at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. Caleb is kind of in charge of Twitter these days, but he is currently moving multiple states away and moving his family to one state, and then he's going to another state for 3 months and then rejoining his family. So he's going to be running around for the next couple weeks getting that settled. So that is why we have some fill-ins, and we have Trae Wisecarver coming back to hang out with us for AEW coverage. So how's it going, man?
Hey, you should definitely follow me on Twitter at Wrestling Cleo, because I am very active and entertaining. Yeah, man, happy to be back. Happy to tag in. I'm actually the reason that I stopped doing the Dynamite reviews is that I am having a workshop for my real job that's taking place on alternating Thursdays. But We just finished. We just had our last one for the semester, so maybe I'll be able to tag in for the next couple of weeks. We'll see. And I continue to be on the New Japan shows, but yeah, I'm still watching Dynamite, so happy to help out.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, we're definitely going to have some New Japan stuff. 3 shows dropped today with English commentary. So
I'm about halfway through the first one. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm basically gonna start watching that as soon as we finish here. I got a giant cigar that was gonna last me the entire episode today, and get me starting the New Japan after we finish wrapping this up. So let's get into this episode. We have AEW Dynamite for November 11th, 2020, continuing on in Daly's place in Jacksonville, Florida. Damn, I wish I lived in Jacksonville because they're having a special 3 shows in December for $45.
I know, and one of those is the biggest match in Dynamite history.
Yeah, geez, man. I would be, if I lived in Jacksonville, I would be there like every Wednesday.
I would be at every one of those shows too, even like given everything. Yeah, I would just go. And I'll be like Darby Allin. I'll get a thumbtack jacket so nobody can touch me, and
get a hula hoop around your head so nobody comes within 6 feet of your head. So we start off the evening with Top Flight versus the Young Bucks. This is Top Flight's intro to the Dynamite audience. They have been over on Dark, I believe, just once. And these guys, I totally miss their individual names, but they are
Darius and Dante Martin.
There you go. And they are only 19 and 21 years old. And wow, these guys have a ton of talent. And if they continue to work with guys like the Young Bucks and then all of the talent that they have at AEW, especially guys like SCU, these guys could be huge going in the future because they just have athletic ability out the wazoo. And really, I didn't follow this action by typing it very much at all because this was a opposite of a FTR match. This was no fists and just flips. So Top Flight actually frustrates the Bucks early. This is a really fun match. They get a bit of back and forth, and even at the end, Bucks are still a bit frustrated about everything that's going on. Bucks finish it off with the BTE trigger, but so much happened in this match. It was insane. Just some crazy spots where one of the Top Flight brothers, basically, they're kind of sandwiched. One of them was sandwiched between, I believe it was Nick, and then his brother was in front of him. And he like alley-ooped him over the both of them backwards. So he landed behind one of the Bucks. It was crazy how much height he got just in kind of like a alley-oop jump.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter kind of compared this match even beforehand. They likened it to Blitzkrieg's Nitro debut against Rey Mysterio back in 1999. And yeah, I love that AEW just does stuff like this because like you would never see this on a WWE show, an independent tag team getting a 10-minute match with the World Tag Team Champions on national TV. Man, I just so much that AEW has done to just spotlight and to improve the wrestling business as a whole has just been wonderful to see.
Yeah, and for just looking at what happened here, I mean, the Young Bucks can definitely play with young talent and bring them up to such a level to make them look really, really good. I mean, they've done it with the Private Party matches, and this match looked great. There was a few things here and there where you just kind of saw them setting up a spot, but a lot of it, there wasn't a lot of delay between a lot of these spots, and they just kind of flowed through everything, and it was just amazing.
They went 9 minutes, but like they never stopped moving for the 9 minutes.
After the match, Angelico and Jack Evans attack Top Flight, who are out on the kind of on the mats. One of them had been taken out right before the pin, and then the one who took the BTE trigger rolled out as well. The Bucks helped to run them off and help Top Flight to their feet. I'm curious what the angle is here with Angelico and Jack Evans. If they are probably, I'm guessing part of the story is going to be, we have been here since the beginning, and these guys get opportunities, but we don't. I'm guessing that's going to be part of the storyline.
Which they just got a title shot 3 weeks ago or whatever it was as part of the FTR 20-minute thing. They've been feuding with SCU for I don't know, a month or two on Dark now, and then now they just, I don't know if they've dropped that. They didn't blow it off or anything, but I don't they are a really kind of interesting team. I don't know. And Helico just kind of fascinates me. He has really interesting body language. And, Jack Evans it's amazing that he can still do the stuff that he did. Did you see Dark this week with the segment with Britt Baker in the waiting room?
I did not, but I heard about it.
Okay, a lot of it I thought was horrible, but Jack Evans was actually the best part. He has some personality. He's Jack Evans. He's what you expect from Jack Evans. But let that guy talk a little bit and see if people take to him, because I think they will. And he's never really. So many guys these 20-year guys like Jack Evans who are finally getting a chance to do something in a national promotion. I'm just happy to see it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Angelico in Lucha Underground. I was a big fan of a lot of stuff that he did, and he took some crazy bumps as well during that show. So yeah, his body language is always really interesting. I think their gear needs a bit of seems it's not in date. It's not out of date, but it doesn't seem in date either.
I think that's part of the charm.
I can't figure if it's out of date or beyond future. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Too ahead of its time. Right. I don't know. I am still a proponent. Angelico did a really cool submission hold on Dark this week or last week that they called the Navarro Death Roll, which is pretty cool. But Angelico, my man, YouTube Fuller leg lock. I guarantee you can get that shit over in 2020.
All right, so next up we have the first of two video packages of the Inner Circle invading Vegas, or the Inner Circle slays Vegas, and I laughed my ass off at both of these. So they're in Vegas, they're playing blackjack at one point, and Sammy leans over to Jericho and says, "Hey, I got 21 again." And MJF is stealing his cards and swapping out his cards because they're playing face down, which you never actually do in Vegas. They don't allow you to touch the cards when you're playing blackjack. But he stole Sammy's cards and he took his blackjack, which was really funny. Sammy and Ortiz just are not having any of MJF's stuff. Jericho and MJF then are at the bar and they try to one-up each other on the strongest drink they can order. So they start off with MJF wants a slippery nipple, and then Jericho wants peppermint schnapps. Then they go through vodka, tequila, rum, and then MJF is like, "I want some moonshine." And Jericho's like, "Well, I want 100% alcohol Everclear." And they get a glass, which is not a shot glass. It's like a 4 to 6 ounce glass. And they both down a glass of, obviously it's just water, but as what they called Everclear. And they're like, "Oh God, that was a horrible idea. My insides are burning." And then Conan makes an appearance. They get into a limo, and when they get out, it's just a cloud of smoke coming out of the limo. So who knows what they are doing? And then what?
They went to Iran, which is a place that I have often been on this podcast. So our listeners should be well acquainted with it. But dude, I was fixing to hate this, and it was just so funny and absurd that I ended up laughing the whole time.
And then Conan's like, dude, I see a dragon." And Jericho's like, "What are you talking? Dragons aren't real." He's like, "Look over there." And they turn, and it's Piff the Magic Dragon. If people don't know who that is, he is a comedian magician who's based in Vegas. So he is a Vegas act. And Jericho's like, "Oh my God, it's a dragon." And then they pretty much are all getting wasted. MJF says something along the lines of, "I thought I was a lone wolf until I found my wolf pack."
actually ripped from the Hangover. Like most of this shit was directly ripped from the Hangover.
Yeah, so they're up on like yeah, and that's the end of this one. They're just all getting hammered at this point.
Yeah, this was. I don't know. I didn't like the dinner thing a few weeks ago. I thought it was done, so I was getting ready to hate this, but no, this was so funny.
This was great. Next up, we have the what I'm gonna call my daddy and I'm a daddy promo from Moxley, and I pretty much wrote down this word for word because it was actually an excellent promo. I might have paraphrased a couple sentences here and there, but he starts off, he says, "It's been a crazy ass ride I've been on for the past 16 years. Finally now the whole world makes sense to me. How did I get here? How have I remained AEW champion for so long? The answer is my dad. He's a 6'3", 250-pound man built like a brick shithouse. He'll box your ears if you get out of line. One time he picked me up from the police station. He didn't hit me. He just looked at me and said, 'Son, we're the good guys. No matter what happens, no matter what's going on around you, just remember we're the good guys.' And everybody around here has tried to lie, cheat, and steal this championship away from me. I've been jumped. I've been beaten up. I've fought monsters. I've fought my friends, but I always know what to do. I always have. And we're the good guys, and the whole world may be bearing down on me. My body feels like hell. I can't get out of bed in the morning. I have a pregnant wife at home," and that was all he said in passing. "I'm holding 2 titles on 2 different continents. I have challengers coming at me from every which way. I know what to do. We're the good guys. It's just tonight. I'm going to walk to the ring. I'm going to sign the contract without any hesitation. I'm going to look Kenny Omega in the eye. I'm going to shake his hand and tell him in no uncertain terms, I am the best wrestler in the world. I am the AEW champion. I am my dad's son. I am John goddamn Moxley, and that's never going to change."
It's a phenomenal promo. I love John Moxley. It's like the first time in years that I feel like I have a favorite wrestler, just because I love John Moxley. I feel like that's someone I can look at that, that's the person in this company that I feel like represents me and my values and my standards. It hit him and Eddie Kingston, obviously.
Yeah, so solid promo, continues to be short and sweet, to the point, and as we come back from that promo, Excalibur's like, "Way to bury the lead, John. Congratulations to John and Renee." They actually said Renee, so they have acknowledged that connection there, and she's changed all of her social media, so she's Renee Paquette, for anybody who does not know that is what she is going by now. Man, she is like, this has been like the year of Renee. Like, all the best stuff has happened to her this year. She has a book coming out. She did get COVID early, but she left WWE, which is probably like one of the greatest things. And now they're going to have a baby. So she's having a decent year, at least, besides COVID.
She just seems like a great lady, and they seem like a very happy couple, and good for them.
Those are like the 2 people I would love to just hang out with, because they seem like super, super fun people. They seem super quirky, just like each other.
Absolutely. And Kenny Omega, I feel like if I hung out with him for an hour or 2, I would want to strangle him. But Mox, I feel like I could hang out with and talk about shit for a long time.
Next up, we have Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian with Miro on commentary. Miro's probably another guy I'd like to hang out with in real life as well, because we can talk cigars till the day goes till the cows come home, because he's a big cigar guy. Sabian rolls a bit with Orange to start off, and then Orange hits a bunch of hands in the pocket moves. Penelope on the outside. Orange Cassidy rolls out of the ring, or gets thrown out of the ring. And when he stands up, Penelope is like putting her hands up in front of her, like trying to stop him, and he gives her a high 10, which I thought was really funny. Kip gets the heat on Orange Cassidy through the commercial, and then Orange Cassidy makes a bit of a comeback, hits a swinging DDT. Kip blocks a diving TDT. And after he runs Kip into the turnbuckle a couple times, then he does hit the diving DDT. We have Kip taking I don't know what I wrote here. Kip takes the elbow pad. Did I miss something?
Uh, Orange took off the elbow pad like he was gonna do a spot, and then he got cut off. I think Penelope cut him off or distracted, and he put the elbow pad back on.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the spot was or why that was a thing, but that's what I remember happening.
All right, I think I just was typing too fast and just like dyslexically wrote that sentence. Sabian rolls to the apron, and then Sabian actually screws up getting back into the. It looked like he was going to do a springboard move, but they covered for it quickly. Orange Cassidy basically swarmed him, taking advantage. They fight over a suplex, which I'm assuming they were talking about what to do next. Kip hits a suplex. He hits a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count, and then they go back and forth a bit. Orange Cassidy then rolls up Kip in the mousetrap and gets the win. Miro runs off of commentary, and Excalibur said he left tire tracks on the ground how fast he jumped up and ran, and then he jumped over the top rope, wipes out Orange Cassidy. Best friends come running, and Kip Sabian and Miro duck out, and he just like decked Orange Cassidy.
This was a good match. Orange, I've really, been enjoying lately since, he's gotten more serious. And I kind of like the pockets thing, the way that they did it in this match with the he's doing it to annoy people, and it's so it makes sense as part of his game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Kip Sabian, kind of a really understated guy on this roster. He's always on the undercard, working his ass off, having good matches. So I thought this was a really good match, and I love that mousetrap. I have loved it since the first time that I saw him do it, and then I looked up to figure out what it was, and I watched a video of Jonathan Gresham explaining how to do it. I love cradles, especially like wacky lucha-style cradles, and I love that mousetrap. But yeah, good match between Orange and Kip.
Yeah, both of them are really good workers. I think at this point, though, they need to ease back a little bit on Orange Cassidy. Just not they seem to have him wrestling almost every week at this point, and I think they need to pull back on that and continue to make Orange Cassidy special and not overexpose him too much. I think.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to ratings. Does he tend to do good quarters?
I think so.
Maybe why they want him on TV a
Probably.
lot. I think it's fine as long as I think he needs to be winning more often than not. I think he's maybe he lost a little too much there in quick succession with the loss to Brody and the draw to Cody and then the loss to Cody. I don't mind him being around if he's winning. I think that it's a bad look to just have him around if he's going to be losing a lot on TV.
Right. I would use him in a couple different ways. One, I'd use him as more of a little bit more of a special attraction type of guy, but I'd also use him in the role that they did in the beginning of AEW, and that was to be the foil to Pac in this case at the beginning of the run. So I think using him as a foil sometimes for a aggressive or overconfident heel or something like that. Use him as a bit of a foil. He can lose those matches and still try to make like the heel look like a fool a bit, and I think that works. That Pac match, even in losing, he came out bigger on the other side.
I don't know if it would be a great match, but I think that Orange and Miro would be entertaining.
I'm guessing they're probably going to go that way at some point because we have best friends here. So I mean, this rivalry isn't over between Kip Sabian, Miro, and best friends and Orange Cassidy. So
they need a third. Who else is a gamer to team with Miro and Kip against the best friends?
I am not sure. I'm trying to think. Is there somebody who is teamed up in the past other than? Was there a third with Havoc and Sabian when they were?
No.
Penelope. Just Penelope. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they bring in as a third, or if they even use a third. I don't know. I guess we'll see how this. Kip Sabian. Yeah, he was actually in the first live AEW match that I saw. He was in the opening dark match of the show I went to, and he actually broke his finger in the middle of the match. So that was an interesting one.
The first time that I ever saw him was the first singles match in AEW history against Sammy, which I was very surprised that he won. But Kip is really, there weren't a lot of guys that I had never heard of before AEW, but he was one, and he's, really impressed.
Next up, we have the contract signing, and Tony introduces Kenny Omega as the cleaner. Justin Roberts did not, so we'll make a little mention of that. Not sure which way it went. And hey, Kenny Omega is dressing the part. He has the suit. He has the sunglasses on. Justin Roberts says, just like Jon Moxley, he has been named the top wrestler of the year for the PWI 500. And there's also another one, and then he's like, unlike Jon Moxley, he is in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame as of last week. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then Tony introduces Moxley. Moxley's music hits, but Moxley is a no-show. And then Tony says, oh, wait, I'm getting word from the back. They cut to a camera running down a hallway, and Moxley is laid out unconscious in the hallway. They cut back to Tony, and Tony asks Kenny if he has anything to say about what they just saw. And Kenny says, he's not one for mind games. Last time it was an elbow injury. This time it's a bloody nose. Doesn't matter. I'll be there on December 2nd. Hope you are too. Kenny signs the contract. Funny enough, the pen did not work at first. I thought that was part of the gimmick, but no, it was actually, the pen was actually faulty. He got it working and he signed the pen. I thought it might be another part of the story. I need to throw some of these WWE tropes out of my brain here, and they sign it, and he heads off. So, curious where this comes to. Who is the mystery attacker?
I'm going to put you in the spot. Who do you think's going to win that match on December 2nd?
Well, now, I don't know. I actually want Moxley to kind of win.
I do too, but I had originally said, and I think this was on a New Japan show where we were just talking about this as an aside, that, I think that would be a good time to do like do a long match, but to have like a TV time. But they have not overused draws. They have almost always done clean finishes, and I think that Kenny is going to win the title on that Dynamite.
I think so too, but I kind of want Moxley to hold on to it.
Well, so do I, but I think it's going to happen, and I actually think I think that you are right. I think that Mox is going to go to Japan for a couple of weeks.
That's what I'm guessing. But we also have to remember that Kenny is scheduled to defend the AAA Mega Championship as well in December, provided that show even happens. I think it's scheduled for the 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was. I don't think that they really expected that show was going to happen when they announced it. I don't. But in Mexico, I don't know much about the COVID response in Mexico, but from what I hear, it may be even worse than ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the death rate is insanely high.
I'm sorry. I haven't gone anywhere in months, but I would not go to Mexico right now.
Yeah. There's something else I was going to say about that. Who are you speculating is going to be the attacker?
Let me think here.
And was it under or not under Kenny's direction?
I'm trying to figure out some kind of way that Kenta is responsible for this.
That is what a lot of people have been hoping, that it's actually Kenta, but I'm guessing it's not. That would be awesome, but it's probably not.
But I think, it is kind of a thing in wrestling that you don't want to do jobs in another company when you're the world champion. So I think that is one of the factors. It's been 10 months. Moxley's pretty much cleared the division. I am perfectly cool with him, them doing something and him keeping the title until February if it works with the booking. But I do think that it might be time, and I think that just politically, Mox may need to drop the title so he can go do, his deal with Japan. And they haven't really, screwed us on a big match yet. So I think they're going to do a finish, and I think Kenny's going to win the title.
And the attacker, a lot of speculation that it's Lance Archer.
Well, Lance Archer has been beating the crap out of everybody, but they've already done that match, but that doesn't. I mean, they might do it again. I don't know. My first thought was I've been trying to figure out a way that somehow Kenta has. Maybe there's some kind of connection between Kenta and Kenny Omega, and they're in cahoots. Bullet Club connection.
Bullet Club
connection.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We are having a bit of a fracture in the Bullet Club anyways, so maybe it's going to bleed into... I mean, this is just like way out there fantasy booking at this point. All right, we have more Inner Circle in Vegas, and they are up on the top of like a parking garage, very straight out of The Hangover here. They are all wasted, and Jericho goes, "I would like to announce and welcome a new member to the Inner Circle, Elvis." And they have an Elvis impersonator there. MJF. Oh, this is actually where MJF said that he always considered himself a lone wolf, but I have found my wolf pack. And then they're just all drinking, and then it cuts and it fades in, and Jericho is waking up in a hotel room, and he's in bed with the Elvis impersonator. They're dressed. It's fine. It's just he's waking up and Elvis is asleep next to him. MJF wakes up from a tub and he walks out. Sammy is in a fountain and he's waking up, and then they cut to MJF's face and he just has Sharpie written all over his face. It says Sammy was here on his forehead, and Ortiz is in a tank top that says bride on it, and he is working out furiously, and Sammy Guevara notices he's wearing a wedding ring, and then he sees 3 wedding photos that he is married to 3 different women. And then it cuts to Jericho walking down the hallway, and him and Santana look into one of the rooms, and there's chickens running around in one of the rooms, and then they hear a crying baby. They open up the door, and there is Hornswoggle in a diaper, and Jericho yells, "Guys, I think we have a problem." And then that was the end of it. I was laughing my ass off, and Hornswoggle with that hair looks just like a mini AJ Styles.
The best part was, you see on Twitter, they did a graphic for Elvis joining the Inner Circle. I popped for that.
No, I did not. What do you think about this segment, though?
It was just absurd and hilarious, and for a Hangover knockoff, it was. I don't think you mentioned one of the brides was in fact Ortiz.
Oh, was it?
Why he was wearing the bride shirt.
Oh, I totally missed that.
But yeah, this was very entertaining. Continuing static with MJF and Sammy. I enjoy. Oh,
I totally forgot.
The Elvis thing just killed me.
I totally forgot one of the scenes. I didn't write it down. It was in the first segment where they're at the bar drinking, and Wardlow and Jake Hager have just been eyeing each other all night, and then suddenly like a server comes in to bring something, and either Hager or Wardlow just beats the crap out of him, and then another guy comes in and the other one beats the crap out of him, and the guys keep coming in and they just keep beating the crap out of these guys randomly. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed that. That might have been the best part of all this. I love that Hager and Wardlow have mean guy heat.
Mhm.
I want more stuff like this just all the time between them.
Jericho was on commentary just quickly talking about how his head still hurts. And then he announces that it's going to be him and Jake Hager versus Daniels and Kazarian next week. So they're gonna start to make good on their wanting to dominate the tag division and get some tag team gold for the Inner Circle. So that was that.
That'll be a good match, man. I've been a really big fan of Frankie Kazarian lately. Just to, he's always been good, and I guess I've just been, because of the year, I've just been kind of paying attention to who thrives in this environment and who just loves wrestling hard. And I have been a big fan of Frankie Kazarian this year, and I'm excited to see him hook it up with Chris Jericho, because I imagine this will be. Well, no, they were in a tag match last year, but the one where Scorpio Sky pinned Jericho. But yeah, other than that, I can't, there wouldn't have been too many times that Jericho was ever in a position to hook it up with Frankie Kazarian or with Christopher Daniels for that matter. I like the team with Jericho and Hager. It's interesting and it's doing something different. Although after that segment, I want to see a Hager and Wardlow team where they just take turns beating the shit out of the other guys while the other one glares at them.
That would be a funny. I hope we get that at some point, that they do at least do a couple tag team matches together, because that would just be great. Yeah, Frankie Kazarian, he has been doing really good work this year. That match that he had with Hangman Page after the initial split or the initial loss of the tag titles, I thought that match was an excellent match.
He had a match with Moxley on TV several months ago that was just they just wrestled really hard for 15 minutes and it was great. And it's just, just been a lot of that, especially, if you're one of the few people that watches Dark. You've seen a lot of good Frankie Kazarian lately. And he will, every few weeks, he will bust out a Japanese Ocean Cyclone Suplex, which is one of my very favorite moves, an ode to the great Manami Toyota. So.
And he has been hilarious over on BTE with his anger management problems, and him also having some weird Southern drawl for 2 months, and it was some spirit that had embodied him in the Broken Universe.
Yeah, Frankie Kazarian's great.
Next up, we have Blade versus Pac. Pac making his in-ring return after 9 months off. I think it was 270 some odd days that since he's had a match. Pac hits a shotgun dropkick right out of the gate, stomps on Blade a few times right there, and then hits a kick to the face. And then on the outside, Pac throws Blade in the barricade a few times. Back in the ring, another shotgun dropkick, this time off the top rope. Pac goes to the outside to give Butcher a piece of his mind, and of course this is Pac being a bit of a dumb heel, a couple dumb heel spots where he let a distraction get in his way, even though they weren't even big distractions. And he goes to the outside, gives Butcher a piece of his mind, and that gives Blade the opportunity. He comes in and hits a baseball slide drop kick. It was actually kind of a through the ropes drop kick, I guess, and that turns it in his favor. Pac gets run into the barricade a few times himself, and then back in the ring, Pac hits this jump over the top rope DDT. Bunny gets involved, grabbing Pac's leg when he hits the ropes at one point. Butcher gives him a shot for good measure on the outside while the ref is being distracted by Blade. Blade hits a powerbomb back in the ring. They go back and forth through a commercial break. Bunny gets involved again here and there, just kind of causing little distractions. They have a striking exchange. Then they both exchange pump kicks to each other. And then Blade hits a power slam for a 2 count. And then we have Pac hitting a superplex for 2. Pac goes to the top. Allin jumps up onto the ring. Butcher comes in to try to cause some shenanigans, but Pac takes him out with a super kick. And then Pac hits a shooting star press to the back of Blade, locks on the brutalizer, and gets the tap out victory. Good showing from Pac. It didn't look like he had too much rust.
Yeah, no, man. Pac is he's like a small guy, but he looks like he will beat the shit out of you, and I appreciate that about him. It's funny because I ran into him like in an airport one time. It's funny. I was flying to Orlando on like the Wednesday after a SmackDown taping, so I ended up just randomly being on a flight with like half the WWE roster, everybody that lives in Orlando. So I, had a little chat with him, and he's like, it's funny because we took a photograph, and I'm like, okay, of the two people in this photograph, one of us looks like a school teacher, and it's not the one who's a school teacher.
Right.
But ever since Pog, and I guess that the last time that he spent several months on ice coming out of the WWE run kind of made him a little touched in the head, and he's vicious, man. I just love, like, he's a little guy, but he's absolutely the guy who will beat the shit out of you. He's like Dynamite Kid in a way.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I think I saw him on one of the ride along episodes. But yeah, he does definitely look like a school teacher when he has his hair up and he has his glasses on, because he can't really see without glasses, so it's really funny. He wrestles probably half blind. And they were going through a drive-through, and he's a super low-carb guy, and he ordered like a ton of burger patties without buns and all this stuff, so I thought it was pretty funny. And they were messing with the other crew because they were going to the same place, so there was like two crews, and they were going through the same drive-through, and they were like messing with each other. He was pretty funny, and just like his normal speaking voice is really interesting, just like with the accent and everything. Like it really does not fit his body, his normal speaking voice, but obviously when he turns it up on it when he's doing a promo, it fits.
And speaking of guys who have been around for 20 years and are finally getting a chance in a major league promotion, Pepper Parks, the Blade, so happy for him, man. I've been like, he's been a guy that I've been kind of aware of, just like, since I started getting wrestling magazines and reading about the indies, and it's great that it's just another one of those guys that I'm so happy to see is getting a chance to do something in a major league promotion.
Yeah, I mean, he turned 40 this year, so he still looks great though for 40. If you didn't look at his hairline.
I wouldn't know how old he was if I just hadn't been, aware of him for years and years.
Yeah, we have Pac. He grabs the mic. Kingston was on commentary the whole time. I didn't mention that because I don't think he added much to this particular match. And he grabs the mic. He starts to address Kingston, but then Butcher attacks from behind. Kingston comes down to the ring. He grabs the mic and says, yeah, it might have been a long 8 months, but I'm going to put you through the gauntlet. And then Ray Phoenix runs out to try to help Pac as he's getting beaten down by Butcher, Blade, and Kingston. And then Kingston, Butcher, and Blade beat up Phoenix. And then Pentagon walks out with a chair, and he is standing over his downed brother while Kingston is egging him on to hit Phoenix. And he turns towards Kingston. Kingston's like, oh shit. And then he just drops to the ground, rolls out of the ring. Death Triangle are reunited. So good. I thought they were going to spin off Phoenix as a face by himself after the past couple weeks, and Pentagon was completely turning heel on them. I'm curious how long this trio sticks together, if they resolve the issues between Pentagon and Phoenix, because there obviously is a little bit of tension between the two of them. So I guess we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah, but they just fight sometimes, and that's just, it's always been that way. It does, it seems like it kind of happened fast, but if you've been paying attention to the story over the past several weeks and just the interplay between Kingston and Penta and Phoenix, this has actually been well put together and makes absolute perfect sense, especially the little things in the match last week with the things that Kingston was saying, and then after the match he goes and embraces Penta and then just kicks Phoenix out of the ring like a sack of shit.
Yeah, and that's when Pac comes out to defend Phoenix. He sees he's being mistreated, and that's when Pac comes out. So he's always been on the side of Phoenix. I was just curious where Pentagon was going to go with this.
And they announced next week the Butcher and the Blade against Pac and Rey Fenix. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that should be a good one. But yeah, I'm curious how this plays out. We talked just at the top of the show a little bit. How does this go with these two groups since they are all heels? How is this going to work out? I see Death Triangle being the babyface in this situation against Kingston's crew.
Yeah, we talked about this quite a bit. You know, the lack of a clearly distinguished heel babyface dynamic. I think like this works for me because they're all sort of antagonistic people, but they have a legitimate reason to have a grievance against each other. So I'm completely fine with them feuding. And I think just kind of the Death Triangle, I think Death Triangle was sort of always going to end up baby faces, just by virtue of being great and entertaining.
Yeah, I'm curious how that's gonna go. I'm curious how Pac kind of takes on the face role because he's always been kind of a miserable bastard. I don't think I've ever seen him. I didn't see a ton of him in WWE. So was he ever like a face?
Yeah, pretty bland. He's got a lot more personality. But I mean, it. You can make it work. You can still be a miserable bastard, but be a babyface.
Right. I mean, look at Jon Moxley. He's a miserable bastard, and he's the biggest babyface of them all. So yeah, exactly. It could work out. And Phoenix is completely a natural babyface. It's hard to hate Phoenix. It's kind of strange though with Penta being kind of a natural heel. So it's gonna be an interesting dynamic how this team stays. And I am more and more wanting trios championships in this promotion.
Me too, man. I've been saying that. Yeah.
There's so many teams that have three people. Next up, there was a quick backstage segment where Jade Cargill is Pillmanizing Brandy's arm while Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero are running interference, keeping the refs away, allowing her to do it. And then after it happens, we have then some of the babyface women making the save to run off the heels from this. I'm curious where obviously she's poking at the Cody at the Rhodes bear, but I guess we will see how this continues on.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a really, really good match in the non-AEW women's division where it was Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship. This is a rematch between the two of them. Serena Deeb won the championship off of Thunder Rosa a few weeks ago. They start off with some submission wrestling. They exchange some strikes. Rose hits a running senton for a 2. They kind of went a million miles an hour here early on. Serena Deeb starts to slow it down a little bit, hits some dragon screws in the ropes, sets up Rosa on the top rope, and puts on, I don't even know what to call this. It was like a backpack Boston crab stuck in the ropes. It was kind of like a tarantula, sort of.
Yeah. A brown recluse? I don't know.
Right, that was Tajiri's move in the ropes, right? The tarantula?
Yeah.
So it was like a tarantula kind of up on the top rope. It was kind of strange. Serena catches a wrecking ball, double knees attempts, locks on the figure 4. Rosa gets to the ropes. Rosa then does actually end up hitting the wrecking ball double knees and then hits a wicked basement drop kick. She lays those basement drop kicks in. Every time she's hit one in any of her matches, she is just decking the person. I thought she had killed Hikaru Shida during their match with one. They fight on the apron. Deeb hits a spear, rolls Rosa back into the ring for a 2 count. Then Deeb goes for what I thought was a GTS, and Rosa lands on her feet, hits a few kicks, hits a missile drop kick off the top. Deeb rolls out of the ring to avoid getting pinned, and this is where Rebel runs out, and she is standing over Deeb, distracting the ref Britt Baker comes in up on the stage and hits Thunder Rosa with a swinging neck breaker right on the stage. So Britt Baker seems to have an issue with Thunder Rosa here. A little, this kind of irked me though, because Deeb gets back in the ring, hits a powerbomb, and only gets a 2 count. So Britt Baker didn't really play into the finish at all, because they continued on for at least another minute and a half more. They exchanged roll-ups. Deeb puts on a submission attempt. It's kind of like a triangle choke, sort of. It was like a cravat with a leg thrown in there. And then Rosa rolls through. She pops up, hits a standing double stomp. They go back and forth. Rosa hits a slam for a 2. They exchange roll-ups, and then Deeb hits I'm going to call this a double hammer lock face buster, which Excalibur called the Swiss Special, and gets the victory. I thought this was an excellent match between the two of them, and they didn't do anything overly complicated.
And it was the same thing as you. I was a little put off that the Brit interference didn't seem to play any role in the finish at all. But other than that, this was a good match, and they've found some good women lately, which they needed to do. So good for them. Yeah,
and I think bringing in Deeb here and giving her maybe a bit of an agent role in the women's division would really help out, because I think she can put matches together that are a little more simple than Kenny Omega's been doing, and make these ladies look really good.
Yeah, man. There's like some of those Hikaru Shida matches, especially the one with Nyla at the pay-per-view. Like that it just felt like a Kenny Omega match that was way too complicated for the people who were trying to do it.
Yeah, and we can see plenty of excellent matches that are simple. This one being one. The previous match that Thunder Rosa had with Ivelisse was excellent, and that was just a simple match. And of course, we saw in the G1 this year, Taichi and Kota Ibushi had a match where the only thing they did was throw kicks for 15 minutes. And it was one of the best matches I've ever seen. So you do not need to do all these complicated moves as long as you can tell a good story. But the interference from Britt Baker did play in a little bit after the match. Britt has the gall to be in the front row after the attack, and Thunder Rosa's on the outside, notices Britt, pulls her over the barricade, and beats the shit out of her. And then they get pulled apart, and it seems we're going to have a program between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. I think that's great. Even though they are both green, Thunder Rosa has so much natural ability and so much of a natural take to this that she's probably a good person to work with Britt Baker. I think she's a legit fighter too, right? MMA?
Yeah, she's had at least one MMA fight, maybe more. But I think that's a good program.
Yeah, so I like a couple of these pickups here. Serena Deeb, obviously a really good one. Thunder Rosa on loan from NWA. Obviously, she's going to be doing some more stuff if she's going to basically be going into a program with Britt here. We have Tay Conti, who is a legit jiu-jitsu fighter. So we have a lot of women with really natural talent. So I think we're starting to...
Layla Hirsch. I've been really getting into Layla Hirsch lately.
Yeah, so I mean, the 4 women that they just picked up in the past couple months, these are what you need to start building your division around, push them up near the top, and then you have somebody to have Hikaru Shida play with.
And even like Ivelisse is so good.
And she is what, like 33, but she's been wrestling for like 18 years.
She's one of the better women on the roster, and she's got a lot of presence. They ought to do more with her, I think.
Yeah. So I think they now have the right people. They just need to slot them correctly, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Next up, a short John Silver, Anna Jay backstage promo, and John Silver is just hamming it up and basically saying Anna Jay has won her last 4 matches in a row. Brody Lee has made sure that she is going to be getting a AEW Women's Championship match. and just really hams it up. John Silver is so over the top here, but he's really playing off into his personality that Tony Khan was looking for. John Silver is going to be like a huge babyface at some point in this company, and so it's next week, Anna Jay versus Hikaru Shida for the women's championship. We also have Pac Phoenix versus Butcher and Blade. We already talked about. Will Hobbs will be in action. Jericho and Hager versus Kaz and Daniels. So that is what's coming up next week, at least. Anything on that segment?
I think there might be about like a 40% chance Anna Jay wins that match.
That would be very interesting.
I don't think it's extremely likely, but just thinking about it and the way that they book, I don't know that they're going to pull the trigger on it, but I can see an argument that you might pull the trigger on that.
Maybe, but she is super, super green. She's only been wrestling for just over a year.
Which, yeah, you're right, and I don't really expect it to happen, but just from a booking standpoint, it's something that I find very interesting.
I mean, I think it should be a decent match. So I guess we will see how that goes. Should be an interesting one next week, to say the least. And then lastly, we have Brian Cage and Ricky Starks from Team Taz versus Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin. Taz was on commentary, but that does not last very long. Darby and Starks start it off. Nothing too special, just kind of trying to get under each other's skin. They both tag out. Cage and Cody go back and forth for a bit. Cody hits a drop kick, which drops Cage, and Taz makes his way off of commentary to ringside. So he is off of commentary for the rest of the match. And then Darby Allin and Cody beat on Cage for a bit. Taz grabs Cody's leg, so he gets involved right away. Arn gets pissed off at this and throws a chair into the ring, and he gets himself tossed out. So this makes a little bit more sense later on of why they got Arn tossed, but kind of weird for a vet to throw a chair into the ring. It's like, what did you expect to happen doing this? Cage hits a power bomb on Cody on the outside onto the pads. Cage gets the heat on Cody through a commercial break, and then Cody starts to make a comeback, and when he goes to make a tag, Ricky pulls Darby off of the apron, and then Cage and Starks goes to work on Cody for a bit. Cody and Darby end up making a comeback, bodies basically flying everywhere. Everybody gets their stuff in. Darby turns a power bomb into a code red on Brian Cage, which is really cool. And then Cage and Starks come back. Cage then hits the drill claw on Darby off of the second rope, so he hits an avalanche drill claw and gets the pin. After the match, Cage and Starks start beating up Cody and Darby, and then Will Hobbs runs out with a chair, and that is Cage and Stark's cue to get the hell out of there. They roll out of the ring, and then Hobbs drops the chair because he sees the FTW championship belt. He picks it up, holds it towards Cage, and Cody is making his way to his feet, and he decks Cody with the belt, and Will Hobbs has joined Team Taz.
You know, I think the last AEW show you and I did together was when Taz made the offer to Will Hobbs to join Team Taz. And I pointed out that he didn't say no. And you didn't think there was anything to it. But
well, then I started... the past few shows, though, I started to, because at Full Gear, Will Hobbs came in to make the save, but never actually touched Cage and Starks. And then he showed up late last week, also never actually engaging with Cage and Starks. So those two things right there, I'm like, he never actually engaged with Cage and Starks while running them off. He was late to both saves, So I'm curious where this is going. So good. I loved how they did it. He picked up the FTW championship and held it towards Cage like, he was challenging him for it. And then as Cody's getting to his feet, he turns around and just clocks him.
Yeah, it's well executed, and I think that Taz will be good for Will Hobbs to kind of find himself. He's been, Ricky Starks has always had a lot of personality. But like if you just watch Dark and listen to the interplay between Starks and Taz when Starks does guest commentary, which is about every week, so entertaining. Man, Taz is great in this role, and I think Will Hobbs has a big upside, and I think that Taz is a good choice to get it out of him.
Yeah, obviously we're going to have to hear from Will Hobbs next week. He is going to be in action, so I'm assuming we're going to get a little bit more into the insight on why Hobbs decided to go this round, because I figured he was going to be like perpetual babyface given his backstory. So this is going to be interesting what kind of grievances he has, and if Taz is going to be the one to communicate those, or if we'll actually get them directly from Will Hobbs himself.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, that was the end of the show. So like I said, next week we have Anna Jay, Hikaru Shida, Pac, and Phoenix versus Butcher and Blade, Will Hobbs in action, and then Jericho and Hager versus Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. I don't know if this has been usually there's 5 matches. I don't think they've announced a 5th one as of yet.
And in 2 weeks, we've got the big match between Mox and Omega.
Yeah, so, man, like I said, I wish I lived there so I could see those matches.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up this evening? We need to start watching some New Japan because we got a lot.
That was everything I had, man.
All right, cool. Yeah, I thought this was a good show. A little bit higher than the middle of the road, I think. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Good show.
So thanks everybody for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to eric@thatswrestling.com. We also have a Discord you can come hang out with us. The link is in the description. I am pretty much attached to that Discord at all times because it goes to my phone and my computer, which I am attached to both of them pretty much all the time. Also, if you can drop a review on your podcast app of choice, that would really help spread the word around. If you are listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on YouTube, and if you hit the bell notification, it will let you know when I schedule a live stream. This is normally most important when it comes to New Japan because those are all around the place because they don't have a set schedule. AEW tends to be at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday after Dynamite. We had to push it back to 9 because Trae was doing some work, so we had to push back a little bit, but that is what it is. So thanks for watching and listening, everybody. For Trae, Wisecarver, my name is Eric LaRoche, and you've been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.
Bye.